Hello, a good day to you. It's Andy here and Training the Right Way. Well, what a week it's been. It's been brilliant. I've got my new camera. I decided to upgrade my X3 Insta360 to the new DJI Osmo 360. And of course it comes with new software as well, because you need to be able to reframe it and then export it out to a file that you can use. And I have to say, first impressions, the camera is brilliant, and the software, well, it's a little bit basic at the moment, but I think it's going to get better and better. We've just had an update. In fact, I just loaded it up, ready to go today, and it's been updated already after a few days. Of course, there are lots of things missing, and we'll come on to that later, but we're going to have a look around the studio software, put in a little bit of video and see what happens and see what we get out, because I have made several videos already and the process is very, very quick. I am very, very impressed with it. However, obviously, as I said before, it is a little bit basic, a little bit sparse. It's not the same as the Insta Studio, which obviously has had a couple of years now to develop. It is, by all accounts, Chinese again. So obviously things like Insta, made by Chinese developers, CapCut is made by Chinese developers, and now we have this one, which is also from China. How do I know that? Well, all the prompts and everything in the actual uploader is in Chinese. So yeah, I think they need to change that because it's not right for the English-speaking market. Obviously, we don't know what it says. And when you've got to click a button, it's going to be very confusing. Anyway, more on that later. Let's have a look at the actual studio and see if we can do a video. Okay, I've loaded this and we're ready to go. This is the studio main screen. As you can see, I've done two projects. In fact, there's actually another one. This one here is made up of two, and it has come out really well. I'm very, very happy with it. Now, you can create from your camera. So this one here, if you have your camera with the files on, then you can copy them over, rather use the actual application whilst they're on your camera. Now, I don't see much point in that, because you're going to leave the files on your camera. You're not going to have any space left. And certainly I've got a 256 SD card and I'm only going to get 3.5 hours on it. So I'm going to have to update that maybe to a 1 terabyte card for the Osmo, because it is recording 8K at 50 frames. So quite a lot of video space is required. Anyway, so this is the plain screen that we have. It does remind me slightly of CapCut, with this sort of graphic down in the corner here and the very, very large button at the top. Now, as it progresses, I do expect that they will add in more features. At the moment, it's very, very basic. As I say, the menu is not very many options on there. So file, edit, language, settings. There's only keyboard shortcuts, which we'll have a look at. You cannot, at the moment, change these. I have tried. Basically, you can't actually click on those to change them. You can click on that, but it just doesn't do anything. Editing keys are already set. In point, out point are the same. Control K is not the same. On CapCut, it's Control B, and I've changed it to B. I don't want to have to press two keys. But this one, K, in CapCut, that is stop. So it's JKL. So backwards, forwards, and stop. So I don't find that useful, having a Control K, but you cannot change it at the moment. It does have options here for Premiere Pro and also Final Cut Pro. So whether they're going to add in other things, I don't know, because there is a option for it to have a add-on, so you can actually edit your videos. The other, delete, undo, all of these are standard, basically standard keys. Undo, close project and exit, control Q, same as usual. The player, obviously playing the videos, spacebar is the one that you need, so that will be the equivalent of L in CapCut. Enter and exit. One frame forward, it's using the arrow keys you can use. So that is the keyboard shortcuts that you have. There is a menu thing here to come home. Apart from that, on the other side, we do have a feedback button where we can send them messages. I have sent several already saying how rubbish it is with the options. And export is obviously not going to have anything on there because we haven't done any projects, but I don't know if this will still load because I've actually moved it from my hard drive. Let's see what happens. Yes, I thought so. And this process is the same as in CapCut. It will ask you to identify where that file is on your hard drive, but you can, if you wish, link it to the location of your files. There, open up that. It's not gonna let me do it. Needs the name of the file. 004. Find cam 004. That one. There we go. Right, recovered lost media. Yeah. So this is the video, and these are the videos I've loaded for this file. Basically, you can add your own, and you can add more. I've done one on the timeline. This is the timeline down here. There's only one currently. There is no other options here. There is no options for putting text on the screen. There's no option for, at the moment, for doing anything other than video, a little bit of music, a filter, some description. There's no transition, and then the dashboard here, I have no idea what they're going to use that for. Oh, I see. So this puts the data that you have on your camera onto the video. The usual keys now are the same as CapCut. We have Control and scroll wheel to zoom in, scroll wheel and Alt going to the beginning, or you can just scroll along to there. Let's put that there somewhere. Are we not at the beginning? It is at the moment it's lagging, and I did find out that if you click on the actual video and then come over to the image option up here, we're going to call this the inspector, the same as CapCut. So you've got video, image, audio. First of all, direction lock is turned on. Make sure that's turned on because it will obviously not move. When you move, it will just keep the same direction. Very, very annoying. You have rock steady, which works really well. We've got audio. You can turn the volume down. I don't know why you would, but you can. Adjustments, so color, adjusting the color, and also setting the color if you were using D-Log, and you can change everything to do with the color. That makes it really blown out. I don't really find that enjoyable, but I shall leave that turned off. That's more natural. All of these other things are all these color options here. So shadows, highlights and things like that you can change. And the dashboard. they've got these options here, which are your various things that you can add on. Oh, if it's pretty good. It's not good for me because I'm just walking around town. But yeah, just something you may want to use at some point. But the video, they've done an update, as I said to you at the very beginning. So they put the perspective. We've got SD or HD. This is for the preview option, not for export. We have snapshot of the screen, and then making it full screen so you can see just the video. If you click away, then you get this inspector, and it does say here proxy. You'll need to turn this on because for every video it's not enabled by default, so you will need to come in and change the proxy and turn it on. And obviously the default setting for that is 1080. I think it's 720 in CapCut. You also need to bear in mind that the location of the project address here as well, because this is on your C drive. You may want to move that, and I'm not sure that you can once you've done it. Once you've set the project, I haven't found a way of changing that, but you can change it when you export. I think this is the same as CapCut, in the fact that it puts it in on your hard drive, and then you can actually manipulate the folders, copy them out, save them out, remove them, and then resave them back in when you need that project. That's the only way I've found in order to back up CapCut stuff, because there is no automatic backup function. The task list, so when you've got something being exported, then it will appear in that list there. So when you export, obviously you're going to give it a name, you're going to give it a storage location, so this is where the final render will come. It will be the resolution. At the moment it's only up to 4K. Frames per second and the bit rate, leave that as it is. I've turned this off because it was awfully slow. I don't know what function, what benefit you're going to get from that. And then of course 10-bit color, leave that turned on, and then you just export and it will produce a video. If you want the 360 video, be able to manipulate it afterwards, then panoramic is where you will need to go. It will store it as a 5.7 or 8K. So after readjusting it, then you can actually save it back out as an 8K 360 video. But for a flat video, there is maximum is 4K. Mind you, that is probably the same for CapCut as well, because that one, sorry, the Insta Studio, that one is 5.7K down to 4K, so it's probably very similar. So the timeline, obviously we have the timeline preview. Go through. Now, I am using the DJI Mic 2, which is linked into the video, so it's all recorded. I don't need to worry about putting the audio. I couldn't do it here anyway because there's no track for that, so I'd have to do it after. But the idea of here is to be able to reframe your video. So that is what I've done. I've dragged those files down, all 4 of them, and I've got them on the timeline. Now you obviously would not be able to do that with the Insta Studio. You can only really do one at a time. unless you do the project, in which case you can do more than one. But I've never really got on with that. I find that a little bit less intuitive, and this one actually works really well. So if they did this in Insta Studio, it would improve it a hell of a lot. Right, so let's zoom in on that, which is Control key and scroll. Now you have little white diamonds here, which are the keyframes, and a little red line between, which is the same as Insta Studio. So if we go to the very beginning, and you can see that this goes through, you can do all of the usual. So when we get the keyframe, the transition, if you click on the red line, you'll see that the transition keyframe animation is none. So that means it will swap immediately. You have various other types of transition that you could do. For example, that one there, fast in, slow out, a linear, which is our usual, and then of course none. But you can see how it works. Comes to the keyframe and bang, it changes. So all very well and good. So you're going to be able to make a transition, redirection. You can either have the various items up here and these 4 buttons here. So it's set on to de-warping essentially, and to have this front view is pan angle, so it's currently 0, i.e. facing forward, and the FOV is de-warp, which is 78. The correction angle, you can see that's what makes de-warp work. You've got the pan angle, the tilt angle is up and down, and then the roll angle is side to side. You may see that this is, maybe it could do with a little bit of adjustment, slightly, but it is level on the scooter, but it does look like it's not. You could, if you were a real perfectionist, maybe the roll angle slightly, so about there, so it's 1 degree. It looks slightly more level. I'm not particularly worried about that, to be fair. We have these buttons here, which are auto snapping, which is to do with the timeline. So if we turn that on or off, if you have this, you can, then it will snap back into the position. And this one here, the preview axis, which is your line. So it will move the cursor to where you are. I don't particularly use that, especially on CapCut. So your timeline, obviously scrolling in and then moving left and right with Alt and the scroll key. So you can see I've done the whole video, the very new camera, based on these 4. There are some cuts in it, I believe, or I may have left them in until later when I put them into CapCut and edit the video properly with captions, additions, things like that, because there are no transitions, there are no text here at the moment. Maybe they will add them in. Will be hopefully it will become better than the other ones. I think it's got potential. Let's just go back to the beginning we'll create a project, a blank project, and then we're going to come into here and go into a recent one that I've just done today. I've just recorded it. So we have this one. Let's take this in. I will do the other ones later, but I'll just give you a basic idea on how to do this. So we have this down to the timeline. We're just going to make sure that we are on a proxy is enabled, which is correct. This is a studio location. The name of it, we have to change that because there is no way to type that in before you start. That's a little bit annoying. And of course it's in Chinese as well. So we will come here, give it another name, and this can be, so this is going to be the name of it. Confirm. Right. And then when we have the other files, which we can import using the import button, or you can drag them over, then we'll add them on to the rest of the timeline here. Now let's go to the beginning, and we're going to reframe. So you can of course move this around, entirely possible. We probably want to de-warp this, and because this is, we can make this level, so it's 180. It'll be our first keyframe. You will notice that it doesn't put one in for you. There's no keyframe, whereas Insta Studio, you can right click on here and it will put one in for you. You have to use a button here, which is this one. You can of course press that, whatever it is, plus I don't know exactly what key press that is, but it's a K. And we can have that button there. And obviously whatever key press that is, plus D will delete that, or you can use the button. So that's our first keyframe. Now let's zoom in slightly. We have an audio track muted. This is for the track. There is only one track. There is no other track. You can't drag this anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. And because we're going to snap this here, we're going to go, maybe just move that along. It won't move. But we can enable. It's not going to move. I don't know if that's working. It's actually working because that should, yeah, enable auto snapping. So it should let me move that, but it's not. Okay. I found out that this video, I made this and I found out that the microphone had not synced automatically. So I had to go through and reattach it in the camera, which was a little bit annoying because every other time I've used it, it's automatic. But this one time, it didn't work. But yeah, so I had to turn the camera off. But anyway, let's continue with this snippet. So we have the most important things, which are split. We have delete to the left, which is Q, which is same as CapCut and everything else. And we have cut to the right, everything from the cursor to the end. So that's W. So Q and W, and the K, which obviously I would like to change, but I can't. That's the only keys that we have at the moment. That is the only thing that we can do with this video. If you're on this one over here, then you can, of course. Oh yeah, I've got to set the direction lock, which I needed to do. If you've got lens protectors on, you're probably going to have to set this as well. But the audio, 100%, and adjusting the colour and whatever there. But the only four things on the inspector that you can do. There's nothing else down here. Selfie view mode, which it does not include selfie view. So unless you've recorded it in selfie mode, that's not going to work. Plus, of course, we've got no transitions, so none of this keyframe animation is going to work either. And that is essentially the studio as we have now. So there we go, a very, very brief overview of the studio. I'm sure that after time, give it a few weeks or a few months, I think that they're going to improve that. So they're going to add in loads of stuff. And I think that in a very short time, we will have an equivalent of the Insta Studio or even CapCut. I think it looks quite good. And it's going to be quite good if you could have everything from CapCut in that, because then I would not have to use CapCut to make my videos. But of course, at the moment, you've only got one track. Whereas CapCut, you can have as many as you like. And it does text, it does lots of stuff. Filters, transitions, everything that you need to have to make a good video. Of course, this one doesn't have it yet. But of course, it's only been out a week. Let's be fair, I mean, at least the software works. Right. Thank you for watching. I will be doing more of these, so come back soon, and thanks for watching and liking and sharing. See you soon. Bye for now.